Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Heart Radio, bringing you stories that matter, real people, real connections, aspiring to inspire through the sharing of our heart and experiences. I'm your host, Carrie Ward, and what an evening it has been. If you're tuning in now, I just want to thank you so much for your patience. Live at 8, live at 8:30, and here we are live at 9:30. And as tonight's guest will tell you, there is a significant reason why we are live at 9:30. So first off, I just want to say that tonight's show is a little bit different. The content is perhaps a little bit more far out than some of us are used to. So I just want to encourage you to take everything that you hear with a grain of salt, like anything. And if there's a piece of information that resonates for you, take that awareness. And if you're tuning in, I would say that your spirit has called for you to be present to hear this sharing. So about 6 months ago, I met an incredibly beautiful spirit who answered a lot of questions for me about the truth of who I really am and where I come from. And it's a huge pleasure and honor to have her as a guest on the show tonight. Nenari, Princess of the Sea. Nenari, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, love? Thank you for having me on tonight. I'm glad we finally got it. Third time's a charm, eh?
Third time's a charm. Thank you so much for your patience, and everybody that's listening. Thank you again. So why 9:30?
Totally. And why 9:30? Well, it's a very divine reason. There are actually 12 core essences to Lemuria and 12 pieces of the puzzle, if you will, as far as symbols of Lemuria. And also for my twin soul and myself, my life path number is 4 and his is 8. And so together we are 12. And so 9:30 also equals 12. And reduced even further, it's 3, which again would be the third time is a charm. So there you go. That is the divine reason why.
Thank you so much. So we're here to talk about something that holds a really special place in both of our hearts.
Yes.
Lemuria. What is Lemuria?
Yes. Lemuria is our first existence as ethereal spiritual beings here on this earth. And it was before the time of Atlantis. Most people know of Atlantis. So, for your listeners, people hear Atlantis. Well, in linear succession of time, it was before Atlantis. And it was our first incarnation. And there were 8 main root races that came from the stars, from Source, from God, Spirit, whatever you call all that is, source energy. And those main 8 root races came here and began Earth. And so that is the core essence of Lemuria. That is our first ethereal being that we are. And so when we first connected, you and I, it was like a homecoming, right, for you in many ways, right?
Very much so. I remember something that you said. There's a few things that really, I took that piece of homework and kind of chewed on it for a little bit and let it settle into my consciousness and awareness now. And one of which was I said, I knew you there. The knowingness that I knew you there. And you corrected me, and you kind of like almost winked at me a little bit when you said it, and you said, you know me there. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yes, because Lemuria exists now. I mean, as multidimensional beings that we really are, the now moment encompasses all that is. So what we call as the proverbial past is not the past. And if you tune into, things that are starting to come out in the media now, full circle, about Tesla's energy. And if anyone knows about the Coral Castle, if you go research the Coral Castle, or the music of the spheres, I just recently posted something on my Facebook wall having to do with that, with Dr. Len Horowitz's work of the 528 hertz resonance, which ties into the work that I do as a meditational hypnotherapist. All of that is the core essence of Lemuria. And so knowing you in that essence means that it's now. And, in an earthly standpoint, there's an illusion, so to speak, that we are bringing back the essence of Lemuria, of the four core essences, which is love, light, oneness, and language. But really, it's in the now. So that's why I had said that to you, I know you there, and we did. We do know each other there. I am one of the Council of 12 members, as is my twin soul, from Lemuria, and you knew me then because I mentored you then. And, so it is now, everything is in the now moment. So that's why I said that to you.
Oh, man, I have so many questions and so much I want to share with our listeners. I want to acknowledge that we have a half an hour tonight. So yes. I find it really interesting that as I awaken and remember all that I am, I'm meeting more and more Lemurians all the time. Over the last 6 months, it actually got to a point when I was on Gabriola that someone could almost approach me and say, I wear a Lemurian starseed around my neck, but how many people really can recognize that from a distance? And they're like, so you're from Lemuria too, eh? Well, hello.
It's beautiful,
nice to meet you. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful. Our soul family is reuniting, and that's part of this energy. People thought the whole big to-do about, Winter Solstice 2012 was the big thing, right? But no, it's not. It's an ever-evolving process. And really, Winter Solstice 2012 was really designed to be the kickoff point, if you will, of this golden age that we're in, of bringing the essence of Lemuria back. And, of being in that now moment of Lemuria. And the free energy that comes with it and the remembering of who we are. And so, coming into our soul family, you start connecting. Once you start remembering who you really are, you start connecting the dots. And I remember, when I started having those memories too, and since then people continuously come to me, oh, really? And it still baffles me because on my YouTube page, back in 2009, I released Shikna Yanaha, which means universal heart, which is the Lemurian language. And since that release of that video, I have close to 20,000 views on it now. Wow. And I've had thousands of people around the globe who have, contacted me and said, wow, it's so haunting, or, wow, I'm remembering, Lemuria, I remember, you're part of my soul family. So, it's not a surprise that that's happening for you and you're opening up to that, eh?
Well, I'm hoping if we have some time at the end of the show that we can close with that song. I've been listening to it all night. It's beautiful.
Indeed. Thank you. Yeah, it was something that, just poured forth through me. And, to the four core essences of Lemuria, currently right now on this earth. And I have a whole page about this on my website. If you go to diamondlady.net, on my website, there's a page for Lemuria there. And it's interesting because the whole core essence of those four, love, light, oneness, and language, our first language actually is telepathic communication. Mm-hmm. So before we devolved, if you will, into denser form, we had, and we still are, telepathic communicational beings. We connect and meet heart to heart, soul to soul, telepathic communication. And then we came into our language, in spoken form and song and, whatnot. And so Shikna Yanaha is a reflection of that. And I get asked this many times, can you teach me Lemurian language? And really, it's the essence of the heart. And if you were to look at it under an umbrella, it's just something that channels through you, and all languages come from it. Okay, so you have the core essence of Lemurian language, which is source language, God language, speaking through you, and then you have Sanskrit. Sanskrit and the Hebrew language actually are the two closest languages from it, and then all of our other languages come from that. So, it's multi-layered, and so when Shikna Yanaha came through me, it's that channel of the heart, and it's really tuning into your heart, and that is one of the core essences, is that essence of love is your heart, and it's your intuitive heart. And there's so many, and I was just talking with my twin soul about this today. In fact, he was saying that the whole world is in so many delusional spells, if you will, and they haven't woken up to the core essence of who they are. And waking up to the core essence of who you are is really being in the heart and following your heart. And so that's the second essence of the four of Lemuria, which is love. Understanding that love simply is. It's changeless. It's formless. It has no beginning. It has no end. And your resonance in the heart of remembering who you really are is where it's at.
So when I first met you, wasn't so much a question, but definitely inquisitive in nature. And it was that I had started to hear this name. So why I'm sharing this is, if this is happening for anybody else, I really encourage you to look into it further. I kept hearing this name, and I believed I was looking for someone. And I thought it was Princess Anya. And then we connected, and I looked into it further, and then came the awareness that I wasn't looking for someone outside of myself. Princess Anya is who I am. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yes, and who you are as Princess Anya, just as I am Princess Nenari. For me, it's not an ego thing. I don't call myself princess, just for the hell of it. And for you, it's the same thing. Princess Anya is who you are in Lemuria. That's the core essence of who you are as a soul. It's something that's known as your soul signature name. Yeah. And from the essence of who we are when we started out as source energy, again, we're telepathic beings, so we had a vibratory and have a vibratory essence. Our soul signature name is the vibratory essence brought into earthly human form of, language, spoken language. But it really comes forth as a vibration. Mm-hmm. So when you sing that, and I do that for some of the readings that I do, when people come to me and say that they want a soul channeled reading, I will often give them their soul channeled signature name, their soul signature name, and I will sing it to them because there's something very powerful. And if any of your listeners know anything about mantras in the Sanskrit language, it's very powerful when you're singing a mantra. And so when you're singing your soul signature name, it's calling forth the vibration of who you are. And yes. So you coming into Princess Anya, and myself, my name is Nenari, which means the sacred keeper of the flame of love and light. So it's the core essence of who you are. And oftentimes upon hearing that, many people will say to me, oh my God, hearing my name sung, yes. It was like a homecoming. I'm crying. Yes. Oh my God, right?
It's definitely not an ego thing. It changed my life because the vibration and the soul signature, with that came contracts and came awareness of those contracts, and the connection between this lifetime and what I would have thought was the past, but past, present, and future are all happening at the same time. It was liberating, and yet it came with a lot of responsibility, but not in a negative way, in a way that I felt purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, because you do. You come into remembering your soul agreements, or soul contracts, whichever way you choose to say it, of why you came here. What was your purpose in coming here? And it really is. It's a homecoming, and then again, like you said, it is that responsibility. But I use responsibility, and the way Source has given it to me is the ability to respond. Yeah. Responsibility. And so it's your ability to respond to that soul agreement. Are you going to choose, or are you going to go back to sleep and be unawakened? And, once you awaken, though, I mean, you may have some fits back and forth, and I've had, in this integration process myself, had some fits back and forth where I've gone, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep now, right? But then it's like, no, you get woken up again. And it's like, no, remember why you're here. You have that soul agreement, that soul contract, and it resonates so deeply in you. It's like you can't not be it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So I think that going to Gabriola was part of that integrative process, and surrounding myself with other Lemurians, and the land in particular there is just very, very special. So I want to ask you, in relationship to our physical world as we know it here in this time and space, where is Lemuria?
It's interesting you say that. I'm glad you asked that, because there are currently right now 31 pieces of Lemuria on physical land, not submersed in the water. Now, there are other pieces that are submersed in the waters of our globe here, but there are currently 31 pieces, and one of those pieces happens to be here in BC where we live. Pretty much all of BC is a part of Lemuria, although there are specific, if you will, for your listeners to kind of get a sense of it, hot spots, if you will. One of the hot spots happens to be right here where we are in Vernon at Cousins Bay. In Cousins Bay, actually, there is a spot that resides a crystal cave, crystal Lemurian cave with 12 symbols. Again, there's that 12, the 930, the whole thing that we talked about at the beginning of the show. And so there are hot spots, if you will, and underground cities. Another piece that many of your listeners may know about is Mount Shasta. Yeah. Okay, Mount Shasta actually has underneath it the city of Telos, or Telos, depending on how you pronounce it. And it's being highly guarded, actually, by the governments of the world, because they know what this underground city contains. And so that's just a couple of the pieces of Lemuria there. There are other hotspots or pieces, all over the globe. Hawaii is another one. Hawaiian language, the Hawaiian Islands, the Hawaiian language is also Lemurian language. You have the Easter Islands, if you know anything about the Easter Islands. Australia is another piece. So there are various pieces. There are parts of Northern California, which Mount Shasta is a part of, basically from about Santa Barbara County in California up is a piece of Lemuria. So there are various pieces, and that's why you resonated so much and had so many of the Lemurians, because a lot of the Lemurians will gather in these hotspots, if you will, or these core pieces of Lemuria.
So, okay, I got some questions. The Lemurian starseed crystals.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The Lemurian starseeds?
Yes.
So this has been a big part of my journey the last year in gifting these to not only people but also Mother Earth. And recently they've started coming back to me from different places, from Peru, from Bali. Tell me about these. Tell our listeners about what the significance of a Lemurian starseed.
The starseed crystals are charged with what is known as the Akasha, or the Akashic records. And the word Akasha is actually Sanskrit, but it's also Lemurian, and it means light records, okay, or the light. And so this is the records of all that is. So everything that has ever happened here on this earth and in the cosmos is programmed into these crystals. And in Lemurian times, We, as the council members, myself, my twin soul, and the other council members, had the charge of putting the healing energy, the essence of Lemuria, and the Akashic records into these starseed crystals. So when you come across the Lemurian starseed crystal, it has very powerful energy within it, and it's to help balance and center you. It's also to help you to remember who you really are. Even if you weren't in Lemuria, it will bring up the unconscious memory to awaken you to who you are and what your purpose is, because there are beings here on this earth who are not from Lemuria. They chose not to have an incarnation in Lemuria. They were not a part of the first races. So it will still activate who they are. And so the starseed crystals are very powerful for that. And you also have the ability as a Lemurian to, once again, having these starseed crystals in your presence, to have the charge of infusing it with not only your energy of who you are in this life, but also the energy of whatever your download is for the Akasha in that moment, and then for you to also receive the wisdom from the Akasha as well. So the Lemurian starseed crystals are very, very powerful.
What is the significance of the Merkaba symbol in relationship to Lemurian consciousness?
The Merkaba or the Merkaba symbol is the essence of who we are in the two being as oneness. And it is our light body. And so you will often have many people who are in what we call the ascension process. You know, light workers understand this, you know, very well, but some of your listeners who are wondering, okay, am I a light worker kind of thing, you know, it's something called, it's called the ascension process. And what the ascension process really is being in the light body, and the Merkaba or Merkaba energy is the essence of the light body of who we are, and that's who we are as a soul or soul signature, our spirit and our soul as one in resonance with the heart energy. And so the Merkaba or Merkaba energy is that essence of activating your DNA, if you will. And we often think that the DNA is only 12 strands. We actually have infinite strands of DNA. 12 is just the beginning of what our science is just now starting to come up with. Okay, and so it's really stepping into that multidimensional body, which actually allows us to be able to travel multidimensionally, to experience other beings in other dimensions, and it also has us be in our light body here on this earth. So you will find that, you know, maybe you're no longer eating denser energy food. You're more lighter in energy, right? You may experience symptoms, you know, relating to that. That's a whole other show. But it's really about the wheels of light, or the energy of the DNA that is activated within you to be in your light body.
Okay. You said to me one time, I asked you a question about something, and your response to me insinuated that my physical existence would not be human in the same way that I experience it now, and insinuated some kind of amphibian or possibly a reptilian connection.
Yeah, because the core essence of who we are is the energy from the source, right? And so we are not who we are physically in this human form. There are many root races of both reptilian and non-reptilian, and there's a lot of stuff out there, you know, about, reptilian races are bad and blah, blah, blah. No, they're not, okay? You know, the core essence of who we are is actually quite beautiful in being those multidimensional beings. Yeah, so who we are physically in this physical form is not who we are. and you know, it's a little hard to understand, but we are multidimensional beings, and so in that we do have that core essence of being, you know, part of the root races of the Arcturians and the Orions and the Anunnaki and, you know, all of these other races. I myself and my twin soul, we come from Orion, or one of the offshoot stars that is part of Orion, which is Lyra. And so that's part of the Orion constellation. So I'm a Lyrian, technically, okay? And so that's who we are as, beings, but we're not in this physical form in Lyra. Right? Mm-hmm. We take on a completely different form, and we call those often aliens or ETs,
I've always felt really at home in and around the ocean. Like I just love the ocean. I have my open water scuba, and I don't know if I feel like maybe I was a mermaid of some type. I'm not sure, but I definitely know that the water aspect is a big part of who I am.
It is, and it's a big part of Lemuria. One of the core essence in being that light, that was we were talking about the Merkaba or Merkaba energy, that's the third essence of Lemuria out of the four: love, light, language, and oneness, right, is light. And light, being part of that, is this energy of the water. Because who are we in physical? There's estimates that people say we're between 70 to 90% water. Okay, there's a reason for that because we're crystalline energy. Crystalline energy is the water, and so the sea, in whatever form, and no accident, my name is Princess of the Sea for a reason. Lemuria is part of the sea. It is the sea. It's not even part of it. Is the sea. And so it's like, when you get a cut, right, and you bleed, what's it taste like? Salt. The core essence of who we are is sea salt and water from a physical standpoint, but it's also the core essence of who we are as Lemurians and who we are as the cosmos. Everything in the cosmos that is created of energy is of this light, which core essence is water and air, which we would consider to be, again, sea salt in some form. So the sea is very much, and so for your listeners, if you're feeling, okay, am I a Lemurian? If you feel a strong call to the sea and you feel like you need to be around water all the time and you have, for many years and you can't figure out why, well, it's entirely possible that it's because you're a Lemurian child. So there you go. And I feel the same way. And, I'm always, I have to be around water and I have to be around crystals.
Nenari, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight and all your patience in getting this ball rolling. Thank you for sharing your heart and your experiences with us.
Thank you for having me. This was an honor and pleasure, and we did it. We did it.
We did it. Everything in divine timing.
Exactly, absolutely. And, if you would like to know more about Lemuria, you can always go onto my website, which is diamondlady.net, and, feel free to contact me, and, I can guide you through the process and into awakening you to who you are.
Thank you. And I'd love if you would just introduce your song that we're going to play, the Lemurian song, before we fade out, and then I'm just going to wish everybody well, and thank you so much for joining us. And join me next week, same time, different time, live at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Thursday for Heart to Heart. I'm Carrie Ward, and Nenari, your song, please share with us.
Yes, please welcome the core essence of Lemuria and who we are, Shikna Ayanaha, which is universal heart. Be loved now, for that is who you are. Espavo.
Thank you.